Well, folks, in this last excerpt right here in Joel, I'd like to point out some things. This is Brother Peter with tidbits from the Word. In verse 25, 2 and 25, he said, "And I will restore to you the years that the locust hath eaten, and the cankerworm, and the caterpillar, and the plum worm, and my great army which I sent among you." His great army. I want you to know that God has some armies reserved. He's had some armies reserved for years and years. Well, ever since He's made man, He's had armies reserved. Some of them have been angel armies, and the angels have come, like in the Six-Day War over in Jerusalem, where the armies came around, and the people saw them and camped around Jerusalem, and they fled. And so there are some armies that God uses beside these. But this is His army. The army of the locust is His army. And there's 2 or 3 times we read about locusts in the Bible. And one time in the Revelations, you read about the locusts coming up, having teeth like beasts, having they look like horses. And by the way, if you take a picture of a locust, he looks just like a man on a horse. He looks just like a horse rider and like a horse. And by the way, in foreign lands, they call them horses. They call them horse leeches. They call them horses. And they are, and they eat the land. It said, "You shall eat plenty and be satisfied, and praise the name of the Lord your God, that hath dealt wondrously with you. And my people shall never be ashamed. And you shall know that I am in the midst of Israel, and that I am the Lord your God, and none else, and my people shall never be ashamed." Now He clarifies right here in Joel 2:27. He clarifies the place, Israel, and His people. Israel, that's the Israelites, that's the Jewish people. This book is about this part of the book is about the Jewish people. Not that the Gentiles don't suffer some of this, because the Gentiles can suffer some. But the Gentiles aren't going to be restored on the new afterwards, after the great tribulation on the earth for the 1,000-year reign. There's not going to be Gentiles. It's going to be a Jewish nation. If there are any Gentiles, they'll be in heaven with God. They'll come back with Him. It said, "And I saw a great red cloud, and a cloud of witnesses coming with Him, and He was riding on a horse." Who are they? They are the saints. The Bible said they are the saints of God. They are the church of Jesus Christ. And if you are a Jew and you want to watch this and you want to listen to it, you want to get your Bible out, venture over into the New Testament, which you don't believe, but you could believe if you would venture over into it and get it. Hey, listen, I want to ask you a question. Let me just ask you a question right here, some of you folks out there. If you knew half of the knowledge, I think Brother Adrian Rogers once said this, if you knew half of the knowledge of the world and you feel like you're pretty smart. Now, let's just say you do know half of the knowledge of everything in the world and you're pretty smart. Don't you think you could find something in the other half of the knowledge of the world that could enhance your intelligence? Why, yes, you could if you didn't stop learning. How come you learned half of everything and became unteachable? Remain teachable. If you only know half, that means there's a half you don't know. That makes you kind of dumb to stop, don't it? I mean, that's kind of ignorant if you know half to start learning right there and say, well, I know enough. No, you don't know enough. You need to go on and know more. You need to learn more. And so verse 28, this is the promise of the future deliverance and of the children of Israel. It said, and it shall come to pass afterwards that I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh, and your sons and your daughters shall prophesy, and your old men shall dream dreams, and your young men shall see visions, and also upon the servants and upon the handmaids in those days will I pour out my spirit. Now, of course, that happened when Jesus came, died on the cross for us, and all these things I'm reading right here in the book of Joel were prophesied, said in the New Testament, these things were going to happen, and these were fulfilled prophecy when Jesus came. Verse 29, it said, also upon the servants and upon the handmaids, and those days will I pour out my spirit. Who were the servants? Servants were the Gentiles, so He poured His spirit out on the Jews and the Gentiles. All right, I will show wonders in the heavens and in the earth, blood and fire and pillars of smoke. And the sun shall be turned into darkness, and the moon into blood, before the great and the terrible day of the Lord cometh. And it shall come to pass that whosoever shall call on the name of the Lord shall be delivered from in Mount Zion, and in Jerusalem shall it be the deliverance, as the Lord hath said, and in the remnant whom the Lord shall call. Now, God said Mount Zion. He said, I'm going to call all the Jews, but they're going to reject me when they do. He said, I'm going to call it a remnant. I'm going to get that other group. I'm going to get those Gentiles. And that's what he did. He sent after the Gentiles. Peter was a good follower of God in the law. And he never ate anything unclean. He never did anything unclean. His grandmother Eunice, his mother Lois, had taught him how to be a great warrior in the law and in the Lord in that sense. And so he knew what was to be. And then when he was brought over, though, into grace, he had to lay the law down. He had to refuse. He did refuse to eat when God brought the sheep down to him. But the Lord said, hey, if I've made it clean, Peter, it's clean. So go ahead and eat it. All right, so let's get back in this book over here. Now, the foretelling and the rest of this thing is going to be pretty much going to deal with Israel, the children of Israel and the people of Israel. We read some in Daniel this week, and there's some prophecies back there that there was a certain amount of weeks, and those weeks were years that God was going to deal with the children of Israel. And those weeks was like 49 weeks, which 490 years, weeks of years. If you got weeks of years, 490 years. In order to fulfill that now, you got another 7 years, and to make it the right number. So I'm a little bit right there, not quite on the mark. So don't take that. Study it for yourself. Don't take Brother Peter right there. Study it for yourself and get your weeks right and get everything right. It's all in there and it's right. I'm just not on that subject right now, and I'm not rehearsing it and restudying it, so I don't want to quote it wrong. But anyway, I studied that, and that's the 70 weeks. So God's got to deal with those children of Israel some more. And then what we've got with that 1,000-year reign that's left, we're going to have 6,000 years on this earth, and then God's going to start a 7,000 year at the end of the 6,000 years. And then at the end of those 6,000 years, it's going to be a 7,000 year, which is going to be the year of complete. That's a 1,000-year reign. It's going to be completing the earth to where God will take and make a new heaven, a new earth, and he will wipe everything away and restore. And perhaps he's going to use the same ball again. I don't know. He made it new in Genesis 1:1 when he said that the earth was without form and void and was covered by water, and he separated the waters from beneath and the waters above, and he made that canopy. Now, this was this earth right here. Now, God may take this same earth and do it again. But the Bible does say that I saw the earth cast into the lake of fire, and the dragon and everything. And then God made a new heaven and a new earth. So we're going to live on an earth when we get in our new bodies after the 1,000-year reign. We're going to live on an earth again, in a heavenly earth. And we're going to live on a heavenly earth somewhere in the heavens. We're in the heavens, by the way. Right now, we're in the heavens of this earth. If you don't think you're in the heavens, get your telescope or just look out at night. And we're one of those things that's in those heavens that are out there. You say, well, we're on the earth. Yes, we are, but where is the earth? The earth is in the heavens. hey, how sensible or unsensible can you get? Is not the earth in the heavens? Is it or not? Well, tell me, is it or not? I'd like to know if it's not, because I think it is. So I'd like to know if it's not. And if it's not, I'd like to know how it's not when I can see that it is. And I got to go. Time's out, and we'll see you next time.